Adversity, bring it. The struggle, we welcome it. Snooze on life, never that. We are Dave Regina and Mike Pirelli, and this is the No Snooze Podcast. Come on.
Let's go.
Welcome back, No Snooze Podcast, episode 137. As always, I'm in the booth with the big three, Michael, the show Pirelli, Claudio, the voice, Valenzuela, and I am Dave, the body, Regina. On record day, it is 60. What is it going to be today, boys?
60 degrees.
60 degrees.
You know what I think now?
I'm just curious, by the time this comes out next week, it might be like 6 degrees. You know,
possibly,
and that's how it is in New York right now.
I'm such a handy person these days. Every time I see the weather and it says 60, I'm like, good day to dig a hole.
I'm
good
outside.
Day to dig a hole. See, how many feet down can we get?
Yeah, my outside is a much different meaning than your outside these days. I'll tell you that. Michael,
sipping pre.
Yeah, I see you. Michael, instead of coffee, is going straight C4, right? Is that
sipping
C4?
pre. C4. How'd you know?
I don't know.
The color, the hue of the blue.
Yeah. Callie, she loads mine up every day.
Does she?
Yeah. Did you see the video of so she was going on, she was calling it occasion, but she was trying to say vacation.
Incredible.
But she had a bottle of Tito's and she was playing around with it.
See that.
Oh man. And she had my my duffel. And I'm like, Callie, what are you drinking? And I didn't want to bring light to it that it was like alcohol and she shouldn't be touching it.
Yeah.
But she's like, my protein. So I was like, all right, if she associates it with a protein, I'm not that bad. Don't call CPS on me. You know what I mean?
I could see like mixing a little. You ever do that in college? You mix like protein with like alcohol?
Yes.
Yeah,
well,
100%.
So
or pre.
Michael and I, it's a very true story. We didn't really have too many options, I guess, when we were in Stanford one. Yeah. And we're trying to cut a little bit, trying to maintain composure with the body and looking good.
Yeah.
Prior to 10% challenges, but there was a little vodka in the apartment, and we were struggling. We're like, yeah, we don't really want to drink straight vodka.
Yep.
So I think it was you. He said, well,
no, I remember clearly what happened.
Really?
So I'm gonna give it to you.
Yeah, go ahead.
So we had a little bit of mixer, right?
Okay.
And it wasn't much. It was like maybe some soda water.
We killed that like on the first. Yeah.
So one of my good friends, Anthony, calls them beefies, where you make like a really strong vodka drink, but you just use maybe a little squeeze of a lime or a lemon.
Yep, gotcha.
And then you do the soda.
Right.
So we ran out of that pretty quick. So I remember being in the pool, having a little buzz, and I look up and we see Matt in like the Juliet balcony.
Yes,
Do you remember this?
Yes.
And we said, Matt, what do you got for chasers? And you just see him go into the room, comes back out like a minute later, and just starts throwing packets of Splenda off the balcony. And we're catching them, and we're like, I guess. And we're dumping Splenda into vodka.
Vodka Splendies.
Yeah. That night, we ended up at Fortina.
Yes.
A lot of in between that, but we ended up at Fortina, and we could barely keep our eyes open.
Yes.
Do you remember that?
Yep.
And Dave had this prank where he used to put something on his phone and try to get the waiter and waitresses to look at his phone.
Yes.
And asking for bottles of wine and kind of a, I don't want to elaborate, but use your imagination. He was doing something funny on his phone and kind of bringing attention to it.
But now I have to tell him what it is.
Well,
I feel bad.
If you want.
Yeah, I feel bad.
We're going to get canceled.
Just leaving them there. And CV wants to know too, obviously.
CV does it.
And so there's a picture of a gentleman who basically was holding a bottle of wine near his
nether regions.
Near his paraphernalia down there. And it was very obvious to most people. The thing that stands out though is the bottle of wine. And if you look to the left, kind of looks like an arm, but it's not an arm. So I was asking the bartenders and the waitresses, hey, do you have this bottle of wine? And they're zooming in onto the bottle of wine.
Yeah. I think they actually got us a bottle of wine.
And we're all cracking up. And I think one guy ended up seeing it and realizing what it was. But
I love you, but every time we go to a restaurant, I'm terrified at what you're going to do because that's your like playground.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you'd love it.
I do have fun. Speaking of love, one thing I don't love Valentine's Day. That was fun with the girls. It was
amazing.
I'm sure
amazing
for you. It's
Livy's an animal. I love her. Animal tap dancing this morning.
That was a great video.
Like she was doing a halftime show.
That was. She had tap shoes on?
So
with pajamas.
How do we put this? She just gets like caught. I mean, it's like me, but she gets stuck on these ideas. Oh, I don't want to wear these shoes. They're too big. Fit perfectly. goes in her room, finds the tap shoes,
Yep.
which we kind of hid because the last time we went to the mall, she was wearing them. It was a production. Everyone would stop. Oh, she's so cute. Do a tap. We couldn't go anywhere. It was like a celebrity.
Yeah.
But yeah, this morning she wanted to wear tap shoes. So like Papa Joe, my father-in-law is in the bathroom because when he picks him up, runs to the bathroom quick. It's like our routine, and we get them ready. And she's just going to town. And he's like, "Is it all right out there?" Like it sounded like the house was falling down.
So cute, so cute. So
they loved it.
One thing though that I did not love. You know what has to be top 5 worst things ever?
Candy corn.
Yeah, candy corn's pretty bad. But
I hate
no,
candy corn.
moving. So I moved my mom out.
Oh, that's when you called me and I ghosted you.
Exactly.
I was in a meeting. I was in a
not
meeting.
for nothing. I was going
in
to
a
say
meeting.
we have spoken on this podcast.
When
and
did I call you back?
2 hours later, probably
after the meeting.
But listen, I'm a handy man these days. Not me, but So I had Matt Reg there. I brought 2 guys from work because I said, "Ma, listen, I'm not gonna. I can manage this move. I'll help out here and there, but I'm gonna get 2 guys that are dedicated to this move. Nice, young, strong, buff guys able to carry all the furniture.
Yep.
Right. So we had the U-Haul. We're going to take apart the bed, and everyone's like, "Yo, like this toolbox right here doesn't have Allen keys." I'm like, "Oh boy, like what are we gonna do?" My brother's like, "Well, I can shoot back to Stanford." I'm like, "I could go to Home Depot, but I wouldn't know where to look at Home Depot or what I'm looking for."
Home Depot
I would go there like, "Hi,
literally the Home Depot's around the corner."
Yeah, but I'd be like, "Hey, is Alan here? Is Alan here? Hello."
He has a wrench.
Yeah. So they didn't really trust me, but I'm like, "Oh well, my new handy best friend is Michael the Show Pirelli. So let me call him. I'm in Greenwich, Connecticut. Michael is Greenwich, Connecticut. Perfect combination." And I say, "Yeah, I'll probably have this thing in 15 minutes." Call Michael.
Ghosted.
No answer.
I saw it on my watch. I said, "I wonder what he wants." And then I didn't answer it.
Oh man! And he has said on this podcast, when I call, he's going to pick up the phone. So I knew. I'm like, Mike is going to pick up in one ring.
Yeah. I was in Old Greenwich. Show's around the corner.
Oh
I think
man!
I usually have. Maybe I don't have it right now. I usually have a little toolbox. Was a hack. Someone told me have a little toolbox in your car.
Yeah.
So I could have came to the rescue.
Mm-hmm.
But like, be a man.
So
carry an Allen wrench.
So what happened
Not my
was
fault.
there was these 3 gentlemen that were outside looking at a property across the street. I said, "Hey, do any of you guys have Allen keys?" They're like, "Yeah, we're about to leave." I'm like, "Well, can I have your Allen keys?"
Yeah.
And they're like, "We're leaving." I'm like, "Yeah, but I need to take apart this bed.
So
like,
I need them.
I need the Allen keys." So he's like, all right, like, here you go. So he gives me the Allen keys.
You just bullied them.
Yeah, and then like 30 minutes later, they're all still sitting outside
waiting for you.
And I'm like, we'll be a couple minutes. We'll be a couple minutes. And then Matt came back down and gave him his Allen keys.
I had this vision of this guy giving you an Allen key and then going on to his next job and be like, "Fuck, we don't have any Allen keys." And then there's just the problems passed
But
on.
just annoying. Moving is just atrocious, right?
Yeah,
There's nothing good about it. Like,
it's tough.
yeah, it's exciting, I guess. But then when you get to the new spot, you just have a load of crap in the living room all over the place. But in a beautiful spot. Happy it's over.
This is very aging of me, but I really like the moving process because then you get to purge stuff. You get to look through everything, throw it out.
I got OCD. I got a problem with that.
Yeah, you don't like.
Yeah, I don't like throwing stuff out. I got to get
That's
better.
an OCD thing.
Yeah, like I have a hard time letting go of what I know is in my house.
Gotcha.
Sounds
You
like
know
a
what I'm saying?
hoarder thing.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
I don't think it's OCD.
Yeah.
I
A little
don't
bit
know.
of a hoarder for sure.
I don't really. I'll throw stuff out
Yeah.
to my detriment. I do it. I'll throw things out. And be like, I really wish I had that. You know.
Yeah. How's this fit life going? CV, we have not heard from you all year.
For real.
Let's
Thank
get on
you.
the mic.
Thank you.
Let's get on the mic. The big accountability.
He's saying no, by the
Yeah,
way.
right. He's been saying no every episode, but we haven't heard
He
from you.
looks
The people-
good. I mean, I don't know
the
about
people-
you. I don't want to gas him up.
It's bad.
It is bad, huh?
It is bad.
Really?
Like
you
Michael
gained
Jackson
10?
bad?
Like, I don't know.
You gained 10.
No, it's bad. I don't know how bad, but I know it's bad.
Maybe it's
so
not as
now
bad
you're
as you
avoiding.
think.
Now you're in the
Yes.
avoiding stage,
Yes.
right? Oh,
Yes.
that's the worst. All right,
Yes.
so you have.
But the workouts have not stopped,
Mhm.
so that's been consistent.
It's a win.
That's a
I
little
guess, but then what about the
win.
diet?
The eating
Oof.
has been
You mean the
about a 60-40, but the 40
60-40.
60 good.
I love
40%
how me and
not
Steve
good.
put percentages on things.
Right.
Just pull them out of our
40%
40%?
not
60,
good.
40.
And I think the bad thing is that the 40 that's not been good has been really not good.
Oh man.
Here it goes.
Yeah,
Oh.
I'm not gonna lie.
Confession.
I think the people
know.
knew though.
Yeah.
They weren't hearing from the voice.
I know.
Yeah.
You know, it was pretty obvious.
Part of me
I was
thinks he's
avoiding it.
resetting for he's like a rubber band. He's pulling back and ready for another big launch.
I think I unplugged my mic like for 4 straight episodes.
Like,
Yo,
this thing doesn't
I
work.
had a really
It's
good
broken.
hack. I'm not gonna lie. I hammered a huge T-bone right before I went out.
You
on
ate a
Super
steak?
Bowl.
No way.
Right before I went out on Super Bowl, but I still hammered like 26 wings. Yeah, it was a big.
Is there anything better than
Big
just
Sean.
hammered
Oh,
wings, drinking beer?
so good?
Wings
But
is like
so
the
those
best
are
thing
those
on
are the
earth.
times.
I'm a
right?
boneless guy.
This is how I
No,
think
that's-
about this.
You're not. That's terrible.
You're not supposed to be like. I love the
Where'd you go?
discipline lifestyle. Hold on, I get there. The discipline, consistent lifestyle. That's what I got to start doing to you now
Dave,
because
I'll
I have
beat
my
your ass.
because I have my thought right here and I lost it. God damn it!
17
But
celery
no.
sticks.
So the discipline, consistent lifestyle, right? But on a day like Super Bowl, you're supposed to enjoy great food with great people. You're not supposed to sit there like eating my ground turkey and my little vegetables. No, you do that during the week leading up to Super Bowl, and then you're supposed to enjoy yourself, right? But like I people are funny, man. I posted a picture of a donut like in the morning, and they're like, "Oh, you're eating a donut?" I'm like, "Yeah, I eat donuts all the time."
Yeah.
No, not all the time, but maybe once every 2 weeks. Like,
Yeah, I don't eat them much.
no, that's what I'm saying. But I mean, I could hammer a nice little donut.
Yeah.
I was in Stammy, so there was what is it?
Brother Jimmy's?
No, the coffee
Gary
spot.
V's.
Donut Delight. Donut Delight. Yes.
Haven't been there. Hear great things.
Oh, it's good. It's
Never
pretty
been
good. Oh, really? So when I
I
was
know
in
where it is, but it's
when
not
I was
there.
in high school, when Mike and I were in high school, there was only I think 1 or 2 of them. Now it expanded all the way into like Norwalk and stuff.
Oh, it's big time.
Pretty good.
But they're not a
Pretty
chain,
good.
right? It's like
I
a
think
smaller
franchise.
Mm.
Yeah, little Franny.
I have like this weird thing with franchises that just turns me off.
Really?
Yeah.
We're gonna franchise these podcasts one day, so just
I'm already turned off.
We'll love
by
it.
I'm already turned off.
Already turned off by it. But yeah, no, I think I've enjoyed most in my new lifestyle nutrition is when you work really hard, you eat perfect, and then you don't feel guilty when you dive into that big
Correct.
meal because you're like, I nailed it this week.
Yeah.
I'm not throwing away the progress. I'm just rewarding myself a
Yes.
little bit.
I agree.
You know what's been my downfall? I think
What?
Stringing along a couple of bad back-to-back kind of days.
The bounce
You got a
backs.
rule, man.
You
Come
gotta eat
on.
yourself
you have
sick.
The rule.
That's the
There was
key.
a rule,
Eat
but then
yourself
it's like,
sick.
oh.
That's what I think.
You have the rule, man.
My rule is
The
like
problem is I bounce back from eating yourself sick. I'll eat myself sick,
Yeah,
and
see,
then I'll
I
be
gotta eat
like,
myself
the
sick.
next day, all right, ready to go again.
yeah,
Yo,
it is hard.
I'm on a show with Fat Boys at
Gones.
Heart.
Whoa.
You guys remind me of here's a
I think
movie
it's the
reference.
other way.
If you guys were movie characters, you would be the young boy in Matilda who gets forced, Brucey, who gets forced to eat the chocolate cake until he throws up.
no one's
Happy
got
to
force
say
now.
that is that a movie?
There you
Brucey.
go. You see what I'm saying? Listen, I am getting good at this movie reference game.
It's funny you reference Brucey because cousin Aunt.
Calls you Brucey?
No, he calls me Mrs. Trunchable.
Oh, not
Because I had
Trunchable.
because I had the
Trunchable.
hood tucked in belt thing.
That
If you look at
that
Mrs.
is pretty
Trunchable.
good. That's pretty good. Yo, the way she used to launch those kids over
Dude,
the fence, though, was
She was
crazy.
underrated.
Yeah,
big.
she was elite.
If I could be anywhere near Miss Trunchable's maxes, I'd be pumped.
Why are you saying it like that? Now you're
Miss
saying
Trunchable?
like Trunchable. It's Trunchable.
No, Mrs. Trunchable.
No,
not.
bro.
It-
Trunchable.
Can we look it up? Someone
Yes,
look it up.
absolutely.
Great movie, by the way.
Trunchable?
Mrs. Trunchable is a beast.
Stop
dude.
saying it. You and Alex Hormozy,
squats.
both of you.
Wow, Brucey. I don't think we're fat guys at heart. I think I'm a skinny, lean, buff guy at heart, and I'm just on the outside. the
Okay,
fat
all
guy,
right,
you know?
all right. Yeah, no. I think on the outside you're not the fat guy, but internally you're a fat boy.
Well, mentally, yeah, 100%.
Oh, you're a mental fat man.
Mentally-
Yeah. By the way, it's Trunchable.
It
See,
is.
I'm right.
Wait, what?
No, you said Trunchable.
Yeah, there's no.
What is-
it's not
like a Lunchable.
It's not a Lunchable.
Trunchable. No.
It's Trunchable.
Oh, Trunchable.
Yeah.
Well, that's even better name too, Trunchable.
Yes.
Dude, I'm
You're
gonna
a
start calling I'm
Trunchable.
gonna start tagging myself Mrs. Trunchable. I'm gonna be like, what?
Trunchable again.
Really
So-
effective podcast today, guys. This is
But
great.
the February, it's getting warmer out, getting the edge back. I'm feeling things turning like strength wise.
Yep.
You know, I'm dialing up. You know what the biggest hindrance has been? I
What?
thought about it. Remember last time we did the run, I didn't do it. And then you're like, what happened? Like, why did you get so off track before the second wave
Yes,
where I
yep.
nailed it, where I
Yep.
won the bet, 10%,
Took all our money.
abs, all the good stuff, black coffee at dinner. I figured it out. If I don't nail my morning and like at least get a workout in, if I can't weigh myself when I wake up, which is a downfall for sure, But those are the things that keep me on track because there's data.
You weigh yourself every day?
Yeah.
I used to weigh myself every Friday, and this year,
for me.
But now you're on the avoidance thing.
See,
I am big
it's the
time.
opposite. It's like I want so much data that I second guess. Like, do you really need that?
Can
thing?
I finish on a good note though?
Yeah, 100%.
Because
You always
I
can.
need to feel good. 'Cause I'm not gonna lie, I'm feeling pretty bad.
Well,
right
don't
now.
say it to Dave. Say it to me. I'll make you feel good.
No, this is good though. 'cause-
Ignore him.
So today, I didn't want to work out. I woke up a little groggy. Yesterday was Valentine's, so we ate a little bit later than normal. I didn't eat just a little bit. I ate like a lot of it.
How many chocolate did you have?
No chocolate.
Hey,
None?
CV,
No.
me too.
I told you, I'm a
Me too, CV.
big carb bloater.
Yeah.
There was pasta. I ate the whole thing.
CV, me too.
Yeah,
Chick-
but you look like you. You don't look like me.
Chicken cutlets.
But
too.
wait, hold on. So I wake up this morning, not really feeling all that great because when you eat all that shit, your body
Yeah.
feels not good. And I'm like, I'm not gonna work out. I don't want to be late for this. I want to make sure that I'm at least focused. Catherine, my wife, my beautiful wife, was
Nice.
like, "Don't do it. Get on the machine. Do a short one. Do
Let
a
her know.
15-minute mile.
Beautiful.
Right?
Hell
15 minutes is kind of
That's-
like
that's pretty good.
my goal, right?
Yeah.
It gets better.
Pretty
I
fast.
need- I need to make it-
45-minute miles.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's pretty. It's
My
pretty
man's-
fast. You were flying.
You're flying, bro.
No, wait, it gets better. It gets better. So I get on the machine and I'm like, fuck, all right, fine. I'll just get on 15 minutes. That's a quick one. And I kind of already know this about myself, but once I get on, it's hard for me to get off, right? Because once you're in it, you kind of get over the I don't want to do it. So, but I get on and I'm like, all right, fine. I'm not going to start slow and kind of do my gradual build up. I'm just going to go right to like the speed that I know is going to get me my 15-minute mile.
Did you stretch?
No.
Okay,
Well, no,
I'd be
I
worried
did
about
a
pulling
very-
hammy at those
I did a
speeds.
very small.
Breaking an ankle, pulling a hammy.
It's still not
falling
that
off.
fast. It's not that fast. So I put it at 4.0 and I start walking right away at the speed. That's my regular kind of warm up speed to kind of get going.
Warm up.
I usually get up to like 4.5. That's
Jesus
kind of
Christ.
walking on?
What are
Like,
you walking? I got to look at this treadmill.
Yeah.
I'm calling bullshit.
Yeah,
if I
no.
did 4.5,
I will
I'd
go up
be-
right now and I'll show you right now. It's for me it's very normal. I
You're
don't
a fast walker then. We got to do a
well,
walk race.
I kind of got into
Yo,
Damn, that's
if
fa-
you-
is that
gradual.
fast.
we can
4.5
raise
to
money
walk?
for that for you
But
guys
wait,
to walk
well,
race.
hold on. It gets better.
I know.
So
sorry.
at 4.0 to start, it gets to 5 minutes. I'm like, I need to get up a little bit quicker. I jumped to 4.5 on the spot. Now at this point, I'm feeling kind of good. So maybe the pasta was working. It got me
Yeah.
the energy going.
Let's go.
I made it up to 5.0 the entire 22 minutes. I did a mile in 13 minutes walking.
Bro, I
busting
jog at like
ass.
5.0,
No, I mean,
5.5.
I can jog at 4.2 and it looks like a really sluggish, like little, But
if we
I
got to talk
choose,
shit, you got to talk shit.
I choose not to run because it's the walking. Actually, I feel like I get a lot of work.
I would love to see
Yeah,
that.
But-
this is good.
I did. So I ended up doing 25 minutes, which is why when I texted you guys, I'm getting in the showers because I kind of went a little longer. And I did a 13-minute mile in the first one. And then in kind of the last like 5 minutes, I just was kind of cooling off. So I was going down.
Mm.
So I need to
pretty
get
fucking
a little win here because although my eating is terrible, it's not terrible. It's 40% terrible. my
That's pretty terrible,
My
bro.
walking has been
pretty
pretty consistent. No, it was pretty bad.
That's
I know.
bad.
I know. I did some math and I was like, this is even worse than I thought.
How about the visual though? Is there a big visual for you difference? Like, do you know it's
No,
that bad that you're
no,
like, I
yeah.
can't even get on
Oh,
the
yeah.
scale?
No,
I have a
feel it.
visual.
I feel it in my
puffiness when I
jeans.
eat.
Yeah.
Like, they used to-
so the clothes.
they
you
used
have
to be-
data. You have data. You have data that's.
They
working
used to be
against you right now.
super like they were falling off, like kind of bad falling off. Like maybe I need to go
That's
buy some new
painted.
jeans.
Now the cheeks are holding.
and
them
now
up.
they're fitting like kind of good.
Oh, boy.
And I'm like, that's not good. That's
All
really
right.
not good.
Listen, next week.
It's a weigh in. Fuck.
Yeah, for real. We got to weigh in.
I'm
So you
sweating.
have to
I'm
weigh
sweating
in.
just talking about this.
I would weigh in, and then next week you got to report back after a full week of being on it.
Well, I've been on. That's what I'm telling you.
No,
Monday
no,
through
no,
Friday,
no.
I'm on it.
I hear you.
It's the weekend.
But
it's
you
not
need to
on.
fully be on it.
like even on
Like
Saturday,
drop
Sunday?
that 40% down to like 10%.
even on Saturday, Sunday.
Why not?
You know what the problem is though?
Why we getting back to okay? You
No,
know
no,
what?
no.
You want to know why?
I'm with you.
No problem.
I'm with
Let's be one of these average people that works out 5 days a week. All right, let's do the math real
I'm one of
quick.
the
We've done this
average
before.
Joes.
That's not average. That's better than average.
52
no?
weeks a
I'm
year.
one of the average
Check it
Joes.
out though. 52
Mike
weeks
Pirelli.
a year. If you take 2 days off per week, that's 104 days off. That's equivalent to 14 weeks out of 52 weeks
Wait, say
off.
that again. Can you repeat?
Why
that?
would you do that?
repeat that again?
He is fitness Rain Man.
You get what I'm saying though? So two
Unbelievable. Basic math for Dave is like, I don't know. And then he's like, that's 32 workouts, 455 pounds, 2 squats per day.
Well, the workout has not been the problem. It's the eating. That's been the problem.
but still, even if you were working out 7 days a week or 6 days a week,
6.
it helps. But so my point
Yeah,
is,
it's
when
not
I
bad.
realized, I always used to be the 5 day a week guy.
Well, I adopted the 6 after when you started saying it.
Yeah,
and,
I mean, but think about that math.
I have
though.
38 days.
How do you expect to have, especially when you have excess to like really lose. But how do you expect to get over that hump without like really leveling up, right?
Well,
For
no,
you to
I
take
agree
2
with you.
days off,
I agree.
that's equivalent to 14 weeks off in a year. That's a long, like you would never take 14 weeks off, right? So that math is
depends.
Yeah, Mike's like,
Sounds very nice.
But we're talking about the eating habit, right? That's the 40%. That's what we're talking about.
yes, correct.
Do you think it's a
Alright.
matter of just changing your? This is foo-foo shit right here. So hold on to your seats, kids.
No, we're in excuse central right now. I know.
Yeah, well, I'm giving you the foo-foo though. Sometimes for myself, it's productive to be a little delusional, right? Like say I'm a bodybuilder or I'm this type, I'm a runner, I'm this, I'm that, and you kind of self-fulfill that prophecy and start acting like it, even though you're really not.
So you're faking it till you make it. That's
Kind
fine,
of,
whatever
but,
works.
But you're kind of shoehorning yourself into this new role, right? So like, I'm long, I'm lean, like telling myself I walk around with a shirt off just to see my body every day and be like, it's not there, but let's get it going. It's not
Okay.
there. Like these little hacks I found, at least for me, get me going to kind of get back into the, like, I feel like I've been in an extreme situation. It's not an excuse. It's just the reality. So I'm like, all right, to snap out of this time, I think I need, not that I've like fell off a cliff by any means, but to like dial it in again. You know what I mean?
So
Fell off
funny,
a
though.
cliff is like
Alright.
terminology.
I was
Oh,
jogging and I
thanks,
fell off the
thanks.
cliff.
Thanks,
It's
Mike.
terminology.
I thought you really fell off the
Well,
cliff,
for me,
Michael.
it's a lot of like, all right, well, I'm gonna get back to like the no ropes. I'm gonna be like a boxer again. Like I'm gonna have a boxer's body. Like I'm an athletic build. Like I keep telling myself, all right, if you're an athletic build, then what do? I do a lot of skipping rope. I like, with no rope. I could do that with the kids again. Like I'm getting back to the basics of just like being active, burning calories, and leaving it at that, and weighing in every day. Like,
By the
simple,
way,
you
think
know?
about what you just said. It is crazy. When you're a kid, it is so easy
To burn.
to jump into like just being a kid and running and burning so many calories.
Yeah.
You know how hard that is for an adult to just jump into a childhood mindset? Think about how much you ran as a child, just running everywhere.
Well,
And now it's like, damn, I can't even run
For
like
me-
if I had to.
you know what's a mental like shift that's kind of simple, but it's hard because when you don't sleep,
Yeah, but
we
everything
haven't-
hurts now. When you were
Yeah.
a kid, nothing hurt. You could fall, you could right back up.
So
Keep going.
we haven't slept for like say 3 years, right? Whatever it is. I say it casually, tongue in cheek, but like
2.5 years
I
solid.
can say consistently, we've had all the help in the world. We're very appreciative. We have not strung together a week of good sleep
Yes,
in
correct.
3 years.
Absolutely.
So mentally, it gets draining.
Mm-hmm.
Then you're like, all right, well, I have to. My lens, which we talk about all the time, is so negative about like, oh, I got to get the baby, I got to bounce the baby, I got to put the baby to sleep. Like, whereas when I started the journey and I was kind of in it and being active and proactive and like enjoying the process of trying to get lean while having a kid, it was, oh, I get to pick up the baby and try to bounce her around. So that's steps.
Mm-hmm.
I got to make sure my watch is fully charged.
Yep.
And it's been this like little shift that I'm starting to take back on again, where I'm popping up to go grab Livy. I'm like, all right, let's jump around, G. Let's get in the bounce. Let's jump. And I think it's a factor of she's getting older, so I can do that.
Mhm.
You don't have to have them constantly, and like you can put them in the bounce and jump around for 15 minutes. But I was so dialed in before the second baby came that it was hard for me to snap back to the simple stuff
Mm-hmm.
because I stacked all this great stuff and routines, and I felt guilty throwing it all away. And be like,
Right.
I'm just going to get steps in.
Yeah, I get that.
That's a hard shift.
Mm-hmm.
But now that I've basically been defeated a lot of times with trying to get into weightlifting and all this and all the good stuff, now I'm kind of okay with like, all right, well, it's not ideal. I didn't get my full, but I'm going to get my steps and like jump around and kind of be kind of like the simple, so the basic stuff,
Yep.
you know?
Yeah. Do you find this as a dad?
Yes.
Do you find challenge in the chaos of like making decisions? Like, for example, the other day did not want to I was tired and I was really feeling like just even a little like, I don't know, I had something in my throat or
Mhm.
my head cold. I don't know.
Dying slowly.
Yeah.
Me too.
When you close your eyes, you could just
You like
kind of fall asleep like that.
Yes. Yeah.
But it was a really nice day out. And, Callie was in the house for the majority of the day. And I had about I want to say maybe 50 minutes before the sun went down.
Yeah.
And I really sat there and I had the conversation in my head of, you should probably just take her to the park. Like, I know it's a challenge to put her in the car, to drive her over there.
Everything's a production.
Right. It's like it's not easy, you know, and you got to get her dressed properly for the park. If it's a little windy, you got to bring the jacket, you know what I mean? So it's definitely a process. But as I sat there, I said, you know what? I'm going to see how she responds. Callie, you want to go to Big Park?
Yeah.
She was like, yeah, boom. And as soon as I did that, now I was like, all right, I received a little feedback of excitement from her. And I also took on a challenge of myself to say, you know what, I'm going to get this W right now as a dad.
Yep.
And it's helpful to think about, but it's hard to do it in the moment. Can you relate to that?
Me and Dana had this conversation of like, I basically explained to her, and this is more just to tell people, like, if you're thinking this, it's okay. I have this amazing guilt of everyone keeps telling me this is the best time of your life. And then I have days where I'm like, this is the worst time. Like, I hate being in this position. I love my kids. I just don't like feeling this way. Right? Not that I'm sad. It's just overwhelming. It's chaos. It's like a million things would be easier if we didn't have this situation. Not that I regret them. And that duality of people saying, like, this is the best time of your life and telling you constantly. And in my head being like, it is, but why can't I see it while I'm in it? Right? Like, why am I so negative sometimes? And it's just draining to keep hearing it and then feeling like you're wrong for feeling like this sucks when you're in it. So it's tough. Like, that's what I battle with constantly, is the constant reminder, you're going to miss this. You're going to miss this. And then when you're in it, you're like, I can't wait till it's easier.
I'm never going to miss this, right?
Right?
Yeah.
And I feel guilty telling people, I'm like, listen, I'll be honest. I don't think I'm going to miss this stage. Like, I will. I know I will. But when in the moment, it's hard to do. Yeah. But that plays into what you're talking about, where there's days where you're just like, I just want to get through the day. But then something happens where, like, you know, Livy's like, it's Valentine's Day. And I'm like, all right, let's watch it, you know?
Yeah.
So it's hard, though. It's very hard. That is probably the most draining mental endurance. The mental endurance of being a parent, I was not prepared for whatsoever. I thought I was mentally tough. I thought I was positive all the time. And I found that it's a muscle that I have to keep growing because it is a grind, you know?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I'm in the same boat where I like constantly like, oh yeah, like let's go to the park. And then you realize like, fuck, we got to get the stroller out. We got to load up both kids. Livy's freaking out because it's starting to get dark. Yeah. Like, and then you just regret the decision, and you're like, "What am I doing?"
And as soon as I got there, too, it was so windy. It was so windy because the park's up high. It's like I guess the elevation is high. It was so windy, so I'm like, "Callie, let's run." And she's like, "Dally, my hands are cold." I'm like, "Fuck, I didn't bring the gloves."
Something that I've been trying, lately is just to like laugh more, like try to crack more jokes about the whole situation. Because if I don't, I'll cry.
Yeah,
you know that thing.
Yeah,
you know that term. Whoever said that, maybe Shakespeare.
What? Laugh more.
Did you ever think we'd be quoting Shakespeare on this show? No, like
Willie Shakes.
I laugh because if I didn't, I'd cry, or whatever the term is. It's so true. Like, I got to make jokes. I'm like, yeah, you know, we're gonna ship you guys off to boarding school. Like, I'll say stuff like that just to, But I don't know. It's such a grind. It's the best, 100%. But the nonstop, daddy, look at me, daddy.
Yep.
Wouldn't trade it, but just to hear it, like it's a form of torture with love. It's crazy. It's a crazy emotional journey.
It is, definitely.
It's like a roller coaster.
It's the dad life. Yeah, man, we gotta talk about
Parent
that stuff. Yeah, you know, and it's real for us. And I know obviously it's.
But
real
do you get
for,
that all the time? People are like,
Absolutely.
oh, you're gonna miss it.
Oh yeah, but I really truly believe that.
Yeah,
I do.
Yeah.
You know, I
in
do.
Your heart, deep down.
Yes.
But when you're in it and you're like, I want to fucking ship this kid to the moon.
Yes.
You're not thinking that.
Right. I want to do the Miss Trunchbull and right
over the fence.
Right into the lake. Boom. You know. All right. That was a good section. We had a little bit of dad talk, a little bit of Willie Shakes. CV, let them know where we get this protein shake.
Orgain.
We wanted to take a quick second to let you guys know that we partnered with our good friends over at Orgain.com. We're happy to offer our listeners 30% off by entering the code NOSNOOZE30. Again, that's NOSNOOZE30 for 30% off your first order. If you're on the market for a new protein powder, nutritional shake, protein bar, or Mike's favorite, collagen peptides, Orgain is your one-stop shop. As all of you know, my Crohn's disease is currently in remission, and the only protein I use is from Orgain. My personal favorites are the chocolate peanut butter and the vanilla bean. With the code, you can try a 2-pound tub for under $20. Talk about not snoozing. Go get yours today. Now, back to the epi.
These guys are over here talking about peaches and cream. I'm trying to talk about the topic of the day.
Or we're
and
hungry.
The topic of the day today is getting your edge back. If you're a little swaggy, maybe getting your swagger back, right? Whatever it is. But this is I think a constant thought that goes through our minds all the time. And especially as dads, I know it happens there. It happens at work for me as well. But you're almost feeling like you've lost your edge, right? And you've been feeling maybe a little down. And this is a very normal thing that I think happens in life. Work might be tough. You can't really seem to make it more than a couple days without maybe fighting with your mom, fighting with your dad, fighting with a spouse, your brother, whoever it is in your relationships. Confidence is shot, right? And I think that's Michael's like, yes, talk
to me.
Talk to me.
Amen, Joel.
And then you get the thought, and it's like, well, maybe this is what middle age looks like. Right? Right?
Yeah.
Maybe this is just my new normal.
Are we middle-aged?
Right? I think so. I don't know. Well, no, because we're going to be living until we're 120. But maybe this is just
Not at this rate.
just the new normal, right? But we are here to tell you, Dave Osteen is here to tell you, you don't have to settle for being unsettled.
Hold the line.
All right? We don't have to do this. We don't have to be anxious and feeling like our lives are like half-assed all the time, because there are ways to find our edge and get our swagger back to normal, right? So that is what we were going to discuss today. And I want to start, if you don't take anything, take this analogy. You have a knife that goes dull, right? How do you sharpen that freaking knife?
Throw it out, buy a new one.
Well, that's what I would do these days. But you sharpen a knife with violence, right? With grinding that knife, right? You're trying to
taking
remove
notes over there like he's
you're trying
writing a book.
to remove the dullness of that knife, and you're creating friction in this knife to ultimately make it sharper.
Okay.
Right? So that's your life.
Like
when
shiv.
it gets dull, when it gets dull and things seem to be going bad, we have to sharpen our knives. We have to sharpen the tools. And yeah, unfortunately, we can't just go buy a new tool because you can't buy a new body. Well, sometimes surgery these days, you could do it, I guess. But the reality is you have to really put yourself in some level of uncomfortable situation to kind of get your swagger back.
Yeah.
Talk to me about what you're thinking, Michael.
I like it. You make me want to run through that wall and just disappear from
That'd be
the
a
episode.
good clip, though.
You ever see that in the comedy show? They just run out. Yeah. They run to a wall. No, well said. I mean, life beats you down and you just kind of, it's like motivation kind of in there. You need to constantly do it. It's like showering. You got to do it every day. Some days you feel real swaggy. You feel real, got that edge, got that demeanor. I feel like it's more of like a personality thing. Like when people say you seem off, that's when it's like noticeable. When you don't have that, right? When you don't have that bounce. People call it bounce, right? Ooh. So like when I'm obsessed with UFC because I see a lot of parallels in life with it. And like there's so many different disciplines that you can do to be successful. But you can be a specialist in one. You can do a bunch of them. It's one-on-one. There's a lot of doubt. There's a lot of noise. There's a lot of build-up. There's just a lot of things that I pull inspiration from. And a lot of times they'll say like, oh, man, this is a big moment. And like, it just doesn't seem to have that bounce in his step. And then the other guy who's the champion or whoever, like, they're like, ooh, they look sharp. They would use the term sharp. Go. So I like to watch. I like a little escapism in the day when it's an intense day. So I'm trying to be dialed in and like do a bunch of real estate stuff during real estate, hop in and out of podcasts. I listen to my daily Stoic in the morning to keep my mind right, not like down, just kind of light in the morning. And then I've enjoyed watching kind of the fighters and the build up to the fights and their interviews, especially when it's like a champion fighter or someone who has self-confidence. So like Alexander Volkanovski was fighting Makhachev, who was like new pound for pound. Basically, he's like the boogeyman. No one wants to fight him. No one wants to fight. Volkanovski is one of the best light featherweights ever, and basically said, I want the fight. And he like went into the challenge. And the whole build-up, everyone has not given him any hope of winning. And he just kind of laughs it off, and he's like, I don't know what you guys are talking about, but you can't hold me down. He can't hold me down. He's going to learn very quick. Can't hold me down. Part of it seemed like he was getting himself fired up, but part of it felt like he was kind of like calling his shot to put the pressure on Makhachev. Right?
Yep.
And then like he said what he was going to do. He's like, when I get up that first time and he realized he can't hold me down and the fans are behind me, I'm going to see that look on his face change. That smirk, I'm going to smack it off.
Ooh,
like
yeah,
the
yeah.
way he kind of
Yep.
talked about it gave me chills because I'm like, whenever we're going into stuff whenever I'm going into a situation where it seems unwinnable, if you lose, but lose with style, lose with an edge. There's a way to lose.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You go into a basketball game, you play 10 of you get blown out by 30. You go, you score 15 quick ones, kind of happened once, and they lose by 60, but at least you scored 15
Yeah.
quick ones, you know?
They lose by 6.
It's kind of like a moral victory, that type of
Yep.
thing. But I just kind of enjoyed listening to lead up. I'm like, this guy might be delusional, but I believe in him now.
Yeah.
As the fan, I'm like, I want to bet on this
Yeah.
guy. And then the whole buildup happens. He goes into the fight and he comes out definitely tentative, but he starts doing what he said he was going to do. Gets up. The crowd's going nuts. He starts talking a little shit to the guy. He's like, that's it. That's all you got? You're holding on. You're holding on. You're not trying to win. And he's in a choke. The guy's got him in a choke and he's punching him in the face talking shit. And he talks about it in the post interview and he's like, I probably shouldn't have been talking so much shit because it distracted me and I got taken down. So long story short, he ends the fight on top. People are just happy that he finished the fight. People are giving him the moral victory. He thinks he won, which is debatable.
Mm-hmm.
And after all of it, there was some question if he won or he lost. But ultimately, everyone respected how he went about it,
yeah.
and he kept his pound for pound. And right after the fight, he was very gracious in the loss. It was one of those things you can't control. And he's like, the judges thought I didn't win. I didn't do enough. I thought I won. And then he's calling for the rematch. So not only did it happen, and he thought he won, he got screwed. But he didn't say he got screwed by the judge. A lot of people did. And he's calling for the rematch. He's like, I know he doesn't want to fight now because he knows how strong I am. I was underestimated, and I gave him too much respect, which is hilarious to say.
That's
He's like, he wasn't as strong as I thought. I gave him too much mentally, I'm like, if I'm Makachev and no one's ever talked to me like that,
Yep.
It reminds me of the scene where Rocky fights Clubber Lang and he lets him punch him and he's like, that's all you got, and then he beats the shit out of him.
Yes.
But no one, it seems like a lot of times the bullies don't get bullied,
Mm-hmm.
but when they get someone who's not afraid of it, the other elements get into play. I just thought it was inspiration.
That's a great.
And then I
story,
start thinking to myself, in the past, I've kind of packed it in and not been as aggressive because I was afraid of failure,
Mm-hmm.
For whatever reason. And my thought is if I'm not going 100% at something, you don't give yourself the option for good things to happen. You're kind of accepting the loss, even if you think it's unwinnable, right?
Yeah.
You take on a listing, you're like, there's no way I'm going to sell this thing. I'm just going to try to be tentative in how I market it and hope for the best and maybe I get lucky. Versus, listen, I don't know if it's going to sell, but I'm going to do my full kit and caboodle, market the shit out of it. If anyone's going to sell, it's going to be me.
Mm-hmm.
That
Yeah,
of difference,
Yep.
I think, is the difference between being successful and failing.
Yeah. Well said, and I love that whole story too. I saw some of the clips of the fight, and the one where he was
Hilarious.
getting choked out. It was good.
He's
really
getting
good.
choked.
Yes.
It's probably the worst position you could be in fighting,
Yeah.
and he's punching the guy
Yes.
in the face, talking to his corner, saying,
Yeah.
"This is all you have. You're holding on. You're holding." It's
Yeah.
hilarious.
So when I thought of this topic, when after Mike shot us a text and was basically, listen, I think we should discuss this. I started thinking, and I'm like, all right, when's the last time that I can really think about losing my edge, right? And we've discussed the time in my life where I basically felt like I was deserving of this raise, deserving of this position, but I'm not sure I told the whole story about really what happened. So I got so frustrated, and I was in a really bad mental space for a long time because I read something that was every 7 years you need to redevelop yourself. And sure enough, that was year 7 for me. And that started getting in my head. And I felt
That's the worst.
Yes. And I felt like because I read that statement, I was so screwed. I needed a new opportunity because if not, I'm a failure, sucks, blah, blah. So now I go to work, right? And now and by work, I don't mean literal work, but I start my planning process. And I come up with this whole proposal. It was a social media proposal to take on the whole town's social media platform, run it for a certain amount of money. Everything gets approved by everybody but one person. My commissioners are in the corner. Staff is on board with what's going on. Other departments in the town are really, really in for this. And there was one person at this really, really high level that kind of shut it down. right? And even though I had approval from everybody else, now it's just a waiting game. Government, especially local government, is very archaic. So sometimes you go into meetings and you think that you're going to win and you get this and you get a verbal okay, and then months go by and nothing happens. So I remember now being like, F this, now I'm coming for your head.
Mm-hmm.
And what I did was I started applying to all these jobs.
Mm-hmm.
And I applied to this one state job. I never told the story, right?
I don't know.
So I applied to this one state job, which basically was the director of community affairs on the state level, though. So it was higher than the county level and the local level that I'm at, but a big job. I mean, the qualifications for this job were well outside of my range. But I said, you know what? I'm applying. So I apply.
No downside.
Right. No downside. So I apply, and that's when it kind of clicked. I'm like, well, I'm not going to get this job, but I want to see what these types of interviews are, and I want to feel what it's like, right? And who knows what can happen. But my mindset kind of shifted in that moment when I saw the job, because I was reading the job description and I got excited.
Yeah.
I was like, I can see myself doing it, but I know that I'm not going to get this job, but let's get it. So I apply, I get the interview. It was virtual. I hear back from them. Prior to them reaching out to me, they reached out to one of my references, who happened to be the person that shut me down on the local level for my new job.
Nice.
Gave me a really good reference, right? I happened to be in the top 3.
They want to get you out of there.
Top 3 of that job, right? Yeah, right. They wanted me to
Great
leave.
guy, take him.
But after that person comes back to me and is like, "Hey, listen, I didn't know you were applying, for other jobs. Just to let you know, I gave you a really good recommendation. But why didn't you say something?" And I'm like, I'm really kind of frustrated with where I'm at right now, and I want this next step. I feel like I'm deserving. I feel like there's an opportunity available for me. We had this whole presentation, and I just didn't like the amount of work that I'm putting in, and there's like it doesn't feel like a win-win anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It just doesn't feel like this is a team environment. My direct team was great, but the people that were higher than me, I didn't feel like I had the support necessary. So because I got that reference letter, and I actually came in number 2, so I was top 3. They re-interview me again. They end up giving the job away to somebody else. But what it did for me was it really allowed me to get my edge back and my swagger, because I came back to where I was at in the town, and I had this new I basically am qualified for 10 jobs above this. But it was a way that I was like, wait a minute. I actually lost. I didn't get this job. I wasn't successful in getting the raise, but I was able to find an edge almost through a loss, which was, it was kind of strange to think about.
Yeah. You made a comment when you were telling a story about how someone said something to you and then it stuck, but you didn't know it stuck until it showed its head later. Someone made a comment to me. I blame myself because I was asking people, because I was really nervous about having a second kid, and it was all over my face. I was asking everyone at every showing, "You have any kids? How many? 2? Oh my God, how was the jump from 1 to 2?" Right? So I was annoyed with myself, but I was so nervous I didn't know who to talk to about it. Right? So because I'm trying to play it cool, it's fine, we're gonna be fine, the high voice because I'm lying. And this woman who's great, I respect her a lot. She says to me, she's like, "Yeah, I have 3." I'm like, "Wow. That's amazing. How's it been?" She's like, "Oh, good. And I'm like, "Wow, and you do real estate. How'd you make it all work?" Because I was trying to figure out how I'm going to make it all work. And she's like, "Oh, no, I couldn't do it while I was doing real estate. I did this after I had the kids."
Oh, boy.
And I didn't really think much of it. And then I keep thinking about it constantly, her saying, "No, I couldn't do it." And part of me has been feeding into all of this input of how hard it is. It's not easy. You can't do both. You can't do this. And it wears on you to the point where you get dull and you let the stuff come in. But then I had again, I respect all these people, but then I think I need the delusion of fuck it. They're not me. I'm one of one.
Built different.
But just that, good or bad, right? And definitely it's been my downfall in some situations. I've been blind going into situations with this delusion, but I've learned from it. It's been productive. It's never been devastating, It's been hard, but more often than not, like you're saying, if you go into things, I'm finding with the edge, you come out with the edge, right? When you go in dull, you come out duller, is what I feel.
Yes. Oh, that's good.
And it's just the mental taxing of trying to be a dad and trying to be good on that front, and then trying to be a good real estate and trying to build a business. At times, can get too many things impacting you and that dulling it. It's instead of cutting through like a T-bone,
Yep.
cooked.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to cut through stone, and I'm gonna get through it, but it dulls you,
And you're putting
and you
so
keep
much
cutting.
work in to
You keep
cut.
cutting, and like eventually, when you get the crack, it all gets easier.
Mm-hmm.
But that's like mentally how I felt a lot like recently, because it's been just so much. Everything when you get in that lens and you feel like everything that could go wrong is going wrong, all these expenses are piling up, and you just want to make progress. And the harder you pull, it's like a Chinese fire trip, the harder you're getting pulled back.
Mm.
Like the more you push, the more you're getting, it's like in a mud, the more you run, the more you're getting deeper.
Yep.
Like that feeling is something where you don't feel like you can get the edge back. But I found I sometimes respond to anger. And if I can acknowledge it and get fired up to prove someone wrong, you can't tie your happiness in someone else's opinion of you,
Mm-hmm.
but you can use it to fire you up.
Right.
So
Yes.
like in the past when I've had good situations, not that you guys were ever mean about it, but like being like, I can't wait to prove them wrong about this bet. You get that extra fire.
Mm-hmm.
So I've found that in a colleague that I'm competing with in the world. I'm not going to talk too many details.
Oh, you don't want to give her name?
No, I don't want to say
I
names.
can get behind you on
I don't
this.
want to say names of
I got-
whoever
you know.
it is, he or her. But professionally, I've kind of taken the approach of like, I'll stay in my lane. If you want to talk shit behind my back, feel free. But lately, I'm like, you know what? People got to pay. People got to pay for that. And yeah, I can stay in my own lane, but why? Why do you deserve to have the business? Why can't I have it?
Do you feel that you've had to get a certain level of experience before you take that?
I think I
that
need to
leap?
grow balls again. Sometimes you get dull and get neutered.
Yeah. You get neutered.
You get bullied into being kind of passive, which is never how I am about anything.
Let me ask you this now.
Yeah.
So I have as I was thinking about this concept, and before we go after this person.
No, we're not going.
He's a
after
big
you,
guy.
brother.
He's a big guy.
No,
We're
we're
coming
not going-
from. I heard he was 10%.
No, because
I heard he was 8%.
Here's the problem. I'll say this, and if it comes out, people will think I'm talking
Yes,
about them
yeah.
because I'm not saying who it is. If you're thinking it's you, it's not you because
No.
it's
He's
someone
much
that wouldn't
bigger
think-
than you. He's much bigger than you. Don't worry. No, so I think society kind of does this to us as well. And I kind of want to know your thought
Preach,
on this.
Joel, preach.
I'm pondering here. My hands are crossed and I'm looking up to the ceiling. But I feel like you said the word dull a lot, right? So I
Yeah.
keep thinking of the analogy. You don't sharpen this knife with a pillow. But we've almost created this life of comfort, big comfort, right? Like you go to a job for years and years, and it's like okay to go to the job. Maybe you're in a relationship and you've been in the relationship for years, and it's okay. You're not gonna die in the relationship, but it's not like the most exciting thing in the world. Your fitness stuff, same type of thing. You walk on the treadmill, 4.5. I'm strolling. You know what I'm saying? But we've
Better than me.
created this life of a pillow. Like even as a dad. Life is okay, but it's not great because, our mindset is there. But because you don't need an edge to just be okay in our life, we end up just surviving and thinking that that's the way to go. So really what I'm trying to say is don't be the pillow, right?
Yeah.
And to have an edge, you got to get away from the pillow mindset.
Yeah. I think you still have an edge within like a similar routine, similar lifestyle.
Yes.
You just got to be aware of it and be. Fortunately or unfortunately, I've set up my life to need an edge, else I'm going to have business.
Right.
Right. So like that extra element of like you're the knife. Like
Mhm.
there's no other knife. You're the knife. You're the cutting process. Has forced me to be like you either have an edge or you go out of business, or you got to do something else with your life. So that's been like.
And I'm the opposite of that.
Yeah. Which
because
is harder to keep probably sharp.
I don't know.
No?
I don't know. I don't know which one is harder because you have more pressure for sure. But like if I'm in a job, just like 80% of the world, where every 2 weeks you're going to get paid regardless. Of course, I can still get fired at the management level, but it's hopefully that doesn't happen. Hopefully they don't listen to this podcast.
Yeah. Well, they did call me. They're like,
yeah.
"Are you open to a position?" I'm like, "You have the wrong guy."
But so it is almost hard in a sense because you can get stuck in that pillow for a lack of better words because you're like, well, that money's going to come anyway.
Yeah.
I can just kind of get stuck here. So I think your perspective is probably harder. But tell us about this person.
No,
Let's get it.
Well, about the pillow. So I
About the
definitely
pillow.
feel as though I had a couple cushy years, or like my trajectory was good, and I definitely got a little softer because I didn't really need to get very sharp on a lot. Like I was sharp, but I didn't need to be aggressive as far as grabbing new business and whatnot because it was kind of organically happening, right? And I was doing my thing and whatnot. And then now that the market's tightened, strong survive. Like it's very tight, so you got to really push and like market yourself and get out there. And you're going up against other agents. There's just less to eat, right?
Yep.
So the I forget who said it, but the guy, the subtle art of not giving an F. There's a book. That guy and another, maybe the Daily Stoic guy, were talking about the problem of success is that you get comfortable at the next level, and sometimes what got you there kind of fades because you're too comfortable, because you're not trying to excel past it,
and that won't get you to the next.
So by
level,
plateauing,
right?
you kind of slow down, right? Because if you're not hitting a certain speed, the wind takes over and the adversity of life pulls you back. So I was like, that's interesting. And then they talk about if you're successful too fast, it's like having altitude sickness because you get up there too quick. You didn't get up there and in stages, so you didn't know how to reset your life and like new challenges. So part of me, when I get discouraged by each step, I get kind of optimistic because like I'm really doing it in like steps. I'm not jumping anything. I'm re-leveling myself, getting used to the new altitudes, you know? So it was just an interesting way to put kind of.
Yeah, no, I like it.
No, so in general, I'm going to keep this very vague. There are opportunities that I've kind of talked myself out of in the past because for whatever reason, I rationalized to myself that I'm not as qualified as a competitor, correct? It's happened on both sides of the business for me. I found myself doubting myself when I went up against someone for like big in the industry for a listing and I got it. And then the thought was like, oh no, they're going to be watching me on the listing. When in reality, they didn't care, right? I'm small. I'm a minnow in all this big game. So like no one really cares. They'll go up against me, but if they lose it, it doesn't make a difference to them. For me, it's important.
Yeah.
So that's the difference that I'm realizing. But I just don't like talking to myself in a negative way of like what could go wrong, being afraid to fail versus what could go right, how I'm actually more beneficial than the other person, even though, you know, the eye test tells them I'd go with them every single time. Like really kind of reassuring myself that I am good at what I do. And just because there are some failures in the past, there's a lot of stuff I don't control. So I could be very good at what I do, and the same outcome could be two different things, right?
Yeah.
Like Volkanovski. He could be very good at what he does, different judges, different result.
Yep.
So really kind of grounding myself in whether it's a big success or a big failure, as long as I do the actions that got me to either one, there should be some type of edge taken from some progress, right? I can look the people and say in the eye and say, I did everything I could, it didn't sell, right? Or we did everything couldn't find a property. The sellers backed out. You know, we did everything. There's nothing else we could have done. We did everything we could do, and I did everything to my full ability, 100%, and it just didn't work out.
Can you share with?
It's hard though. I
Go
say
ahead,
this
go
in theory, but you have 6 in a row, 7 in a
Yes.
row. It's hard not to rethink that.
Right.
And I'm pretty bulletproof with my mindset
Yeah.
on that stuff.
Yeah.
And even I'll be honest, when 3 or 4 things in the same day, sometimes coincidence go wrong. You're like, am I the worst agent in the world?
Yep.
You know, and then the next day they all go right, and you're like, "Am I the best in the world?" You know, so you can't
That
ride
seesaw.
that roller coaster.
Yeah. Can you share what you said to somebody, or what you would say to somebody who's potentially, say I'm this other person and I get every single listing, right?
Yeah.
So by the eye test, like you're saying, they should go with me.
Yeah.
But you shared something off air.
Yeah,
That was a tactic
It was
of
pretty
what you.
funny.
Yeah, but it's good though, because that's actually a real tactic when it comes to like an interview process. That
Yeah,
I'll explain.
I mean,
but go ahead.
So my thought is like the thought process of why would you choose me, right? Like if I was in the other seat, what would make you sway towards me, even though I'm not, 50 years in the business, all these listings, whatnot. So my thought was like, well, a benefit of working with me is you get me, right? The other person has 100 listings. Do you want to be one of 100? You want to be one of one. So that's the benefit,
You
right?
want to date me exclusively?
You want me to date me exclusive? You have 100 dates.
Yeah.
So like that's kind of funny. And then my whole pitch is like bigger doesn't mean better.
Mm-hmm.
It's like at the end of the day, I'm trying to maximize every opportunity I get because I don't have 100 opportunities.
Right.
I get one swing.
Yep.
You don't think I'm trying to hit a home run on your swing? I don't need to hit singles. I need to hit home runs.
Right.
So like just being honest with the conversations, like not shying away from that. I consider myself experienced, but when I go against people that have been in the business 40, 50 years, like I'm never going to win that.
I mean, do you want to deal with a fossil or do you want to deal with somebody who's 10%?
There's a lot of good, like I say that with respect. There's a lot of great agents out there that have earned their experience, and I respect them even more now, being 10 years in the business and being like, I don't know how they did it.
Right.
Because 10 years, I feel like I've been in the business 100. So, but I really think rather than hide from the adversity, just bringing it to light, the elephant in the room, and saying like, listen, you're probably saying like, why should I choose him over these other agents?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. I've been in the business 10 years, they've been 50, but I've sold properties for records. If you call me, you get me. You don't get a team, right? I own my own firm. So if we got to get creative, I'll get creative. I'll do everything in my power to get the deal done. And ultimately, I respect you. I hope I work with you. But if we're not the right fit, we're not the right fit.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a boutique firm. I can't take on everyone.
Yep.
Which is true.
Yeah.
So it's like versus, hey, I really want the business. Like I'll do whatever. I'll drop my rate. Like whatever. No, it's like, you want to work with me and you believe in what I can do. Let's do it. If not, I'll get some other business. So it's that shift.
I love it. And it actually reminds me of this, of a tactic. But I think situations in our life, we allow situations in our life to take away our edge or our swagger. For example, you have a job interview, right? You go into the job interview and you're like sitting there and you're just receiving the questions and you're trying to like talk about yourself in a great light, right?
Yeah.
Which is one way to interview, and that's a good way. But there's the other way that you can utilize an edge, and which is something that I've actually done in my past. My previous boss, he always says to me, I've never been in an interview where I was interviewing somebody and it felt like it was an interview for me.
Smart.
But I had read this, so I didn't create it. But it's a tactic to where you basically try to learn any and everything about the organization that you're going into. So you have not only general knowledge, but especially with outlets today, I mean, you could find out anything you want before you go into that interview. So you ask questions back. You basically speak in an interview how you can make change kind of immediately if you were on the team already, right? So you're speaking in a present, like, I have this job. This is what I am, here to do, versus being, so reactive. And that's just a way that before the outcome is even there, you can kind of go into these situations, like Mike is saying, with a little bit of an edge, but you have to be strategic about it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
100%. And your demeanor and tone is super important. Like if you're hesitant and you're not confident in what you're saying, and you're second guessing yourself, then the people you're dealing with are second guessing themselves. There's less of a trust level because they're like, I don't know, why is he being so squirrely and like nervous? And
right.
So it's like it all feeds on itself. So
yeah,
but it's a constant battle, to keep the edge. And there's days that are good, there's days that are bad, but the whole Stoic philosophy, which I've really loved and like I really got to do more of it and think about it more, is like their whole thing is nothing's good or bad, it just is.
Mm-hmm.
It's not good or bad. You can have good, you can be emotional, right? Have happy times, this and that. But when stuff happens, it doesn't happen to you, it happens for you. It's not good or bad, it just is.
Right.
If you lose this listing, maybe it's to make room for another listing.
Yep.
If you got that listing sold, maybe it's not the best one. Maybe it would have took you down a road of doing deals you want to do. So it's like no matter which way it goes, depending on how you look at it, could be good or bad.
Mm-hmm.
So don't put too much faith in not faith, to weight in it.
Yeah, no.
So easy to
that.
say, so hard to do.
Mm-hmm.
I want to rip shit in half when I don't sell something.
We have these conversations all the time, but I feel like this is where you are very transparent and people can see through you if you're really about that life, for a lack of better words, right?
Yeah.
Like, this is why I think you have to tie everything in. I wear a compass on my neck because I want to live in alignment, right? Like, I want my business values to be the same as my relationship values. My relationship values to be the same values I have in the gym. For a long time, I was just kind of living this life in the gym. Yeah. But as I became a dad and, you're in these relationships over time, you realize that, wow, you know what? I can be a compass and I can have the same outlook on all of these things. But I just feel like it's so important that you don't only live one aspect of your life the way that we're talking, right? Like, that's where I think people can see through and be like, you know what? You're really not the best for this job, because if you can't even, really take care of yourself, how are you going to take this, leadership role, or how are you going to represent somebody? It was a mindset that you had back when you were doing that 10% challenge. I think it translates so much more. It translates so much more than just, oh yeah, you go to the gym. Wow. So what? No, it's like, it's really hard to do that every single day. It's hard to do anything every single day.
And if you can connect it all, like you're saying, and that's how it's only worked for me, is if everything is kind of in synergy and like I link up, like when I'm dialed in on my diet, my nutrition, my working out, it's the best version of myself for my clients. So if I want to be in that level, I got to figure that out. Right. And there's so if you're like, they're all pillars, for your house or whatever is the foundation. At certain times, one gets dull, one gets sharp, and you just got to keep it's a constant practice. It's a constant like retooling and changing and fixing, and it's never done. It's like that's helped too. It's like when you do something, it's just not done. It's constantly changing. So it's like it's never going to be the same every time.
Right.
It's going to keep adapting, but at the end of the day, if you're making progress in all facets, then you're doing something right.
And the most important thing though is like, you really have to put in this work, and it's repetition. Repetition is so important. I was just having this conversation with a young student athlete, great basketball player, going to be, high Division II, low Division I, full scholarship athlete, which is phenomenal. But he was basically mad that he wasn't in, one of this. It was like a showcase that high-level colleges and universities were recruiting for. And so I said, all right, let's sit down and have this conversation. How many hours a day do you practice? He said, well, I take Sundays off, and I typically practice like, an hour to 2 hours a day. And I said, is this an hour to 2 hours a day outside of your scheduled practice? And he's like, no, but I'm doing it every day. And it's important to be consistent, so I show up. So I said, you want to be the best at what you do. And do you think that 6 days a week for 1 hour, so that's 6 total hours in a week, or say it's 2, that's 12. 12 hours in a week is really going to qualify you to be the best in the world at what you do? And I saw like the light bulb go on, because I said, just take that and add an hour in the morning of your own, fitness routine, or you with ball handling, you shooting, whatever it is, a skill that you're now adding to that. And now you double the amount of time that everybody else, because 90% of the people that you're probably competing against are at your exact same level when it comes to the time put in. Now, over the course of 1 year, course of 2 years, you guys have been logging the same hours. What are you going to do that's going to give you that competitive edge? And he was like, well, I'll be in the gym tomorrow for, even 30 minutes. Because then he started doing the math. He got obsessed. And he was like, wait, so if I just do 15 minutes of free throws every single day, the amount of time, he was almost light years ahead of everybody else. Yeah. But those are the conversations that we need to be having more often. Like, and that's something that I want to instill in Cali. It's repetition every day.
Yeah, if you want to be good at something.
Like we can't just want to be the best in the world and just show up, here and there.
Yeah. It's fair.
Important stuff. There was 2 things though that I think might be helpful. I think it could be helpful. Well, again, information, not education to you. We don't teach here. We just preach.
Great.
But so I almost have an awareness now of when I'm losing my edge. And there's 2 things that I specifically wrote down. But for whatever reason, when I find myself having the same conversations over and over and over again without taking action, I know that I've lost my edge. Right, so that could be applicable to work. It could be applicable to starting a side hustle.
It's a good one, David.
It could be.
A good one.
You know what I mean?
Might have been your best comment you made on this podcast. Seriously,
right?
It's good.
Like,
did you come up with that?
Yes. What, I got it from the Book of Dave.
I don't know.
No, so it's something that I really I find that's when I'm really losing it, because I called my father like 4 different times, and he's like, "Are we having this conversation again?" And I'm like, "Oh boy." And I realize like I still have the great idea of what it is, but I've taken no action steps to really move forward because I'm hesitant, because I kind of want to ignore, like Stevie was talking about before, I kind of want to ignore it.
Yeah.
It's like a good idea. Like I kind of like it, but I'm like scared. I'm fearful of it. That's 1. And then 2 is it takes me a really long time to make decisions, which rarely happens to me. So when I notice that I'm very indecisive and I'm unable to make a decision, I'm starting to lose my edge. Those are two things that kind of happened to me. But I think back, I have to think back in a leadership role and say, listen, on that number 2 thing of taking a long time to make a decision, look back at previous data, see how long it took for an idea to become a concept, measure it against the time frame that I'm slacking right now, and now I can see where I've lost my edge. So those are 2 things that just came to mind that I thought
the only thing I'll add to it to make it a nice 3 number is when I lose faith in the process. When I'm like, this is pointless. That's when I really lose my edge.
That's a very good one. That happens a lot.
Right? Like, unfortunately, real estate's slow. So if you don't have the faith in that things are going to come together and you're going to figure it out, it's this whirlwind of like, you're getting behind. You're not getting behind a month. You're getting behind 3 months, 4 months, 5 months. Because if you're not getting the deals going now, they don't close for 3, 4, 5 months.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like if you got lulls in your action, you get hit with them in 3 months, and then you're like, where's all my deals? And you're like, I was this whole month of I didn't have my edge, so now that's why I'm not. So it's like you get penalized by losing it, and it doesn't happen often, but lately, like there'll be even end of day type stuff where I'm like, there's no point. Like I'm not even going to do this next thing. And I feel it. I feel the edge lost, and I feel myself losing the faith. And then you kind of have to talk yourself back. No, F that. It works. It's worked in the past. It's going to work now. It's hard, though. It's hard.
You're becoming an Osteen brother. He's talking about faith.
Well, that's my faith. Money.
No, I know. But it's so true. And especially with the term of alignment, for me, the faith piece is something that, like, I want to just get to that next level, because
like with Joel, like on stage.
No.
Talking next level?
No. I'm just saying daily practice. I need to now take my simple gratitude prayer to like the next level. And I'm not looking to become the most religious dude in the world by any means. That's not what I'm after. But if you're hiring, I am here for you. You get what I'm saying, though?
So this is kind of on topic, kind of off topic. The thing that I think I haven't really talked about it or really thought about it much till recently. My mind runs, and I have a hard time sleeping a lot these days because I have so many thoughts. So I think I really need to keep a journal or something just to write so that I stop bouncing ideas in my head. And I think it'll help me focus a lot more, because I have these ideas that if I don't get out, they stress me and they turn these other things. Where I think if I just wrote it down, like threw it up on a page, I can like relax, Yeah. And that's something I haven't had to do in my whole career. And I've been able to manage it all and be okay and this and that. And I think part of it is this podcast helps me get all my thoughts out.
Yeah, me too.
And it kind of makes me throw up on a microphone. Literally. So I think that'll be maybe the next thing I try to impose. And maybe it's just on my iPad, just scribbling and like keeping. But I do think it'll be good to look back and kind of dissect and kind of check in where I've been. Because this, apart from, this probably, and again, not major adversity, but hardest mentally for me, probably this last 6 months of my whole life. Just like keeping positive has been really hard.
Well, you got a lot going on too, and I think that's a piece of it. You it's not like this is just phantom stuff.
No, but
it's
I think
real life.
Documenting that, I can be more familiar with the feeling, so that when it comes up in the future, I can manage it better. Where I'm doing okay, but it's unfamiliar to me. So like,
but unfortunately, it's not going to happen again in this capacity. It'll happen again in
a different way. Right. But at least I could pull from it, because
yes.
I haven't really struggled with being like positive. Like that hasn't been a struggle of mine in the past. And then during all this, it's been a struggle, and it's a weird feeling because I'm not familiar with it.
Yeah, I literally, I mean, it's something you hear all the time, but I utilize the times in my life that were the toughest, whether if it was, a health battle, relationship battle, whatever adversity was going on in my life. I feel like it prepares me, but you have to be conscious of that, like really preparing yourself for that next level and be able to draw from it in the moment of when that adversity is hitting you. You know, like being able to remember, like, yo, I actually did this. And it was a different way, but like I am built for this. I can get through this too. But it's very, very important stuff.
Yeah, I think it'll be therapeutic in a sense of just like realizing, like, this is probably, the start of the upswing.
Yep.
But when you're in it, you're like, this is just gonna go like this forever.
Yes.
But it's not. I know that. But it's hard. It's so unfamiliar for me because I'm usually so like upbeat, and I'm sure once in my life I was like this, but I've been so removed from it that it's hard to revisit it. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So it's been good though.
I love it, man. Good. That's a great ramble for today. So this will bring us to my favorite section, Dave's Dime of the Week.
Dimes.
I don't know why I can't remember this stuff. I get nervous and then puts me on the spot, and like I can't.
You just use the quote that you
can't
post
go-
each day.
That's what so that's exactly where I'm going right now, because this one was fire. This really was.
The best is every week. You're like, this is fire.
This one is fire. You got to keep the people.
Was this by Dave?
Yeah, you got to keep the people.
It started with Seneca, philosophy, Shakespeare. Now it's Dave every week. It's literally his dime.
One day it's Willie Shakes. One day it's Dave Regina.
Willie Shake sounds.
Yeah, it does.
Not very.
All right, so I'm just shake the Willie. Stop it. All right, so check it out. Try to do this off the top, I guess, after I looked at it, but
The dome.
yeah. Life is like a roller coaster. Why are you laughing at me? Fuck.
No, it was good. I've read it this morning. It was
I
good.
know, it is good. It is good. Life is like a roller coaster. You have ups and downs, twists and turns, and that is the adversity of your life, right? So you basically have two options. You could hold on for dear life on that roller coaster and be fearful of what's about to come next, or you could put your motherfucking hands up, smile, and enjoy the damn ride.
And fly out of the seat.
Hopefully you're buckled in. But that analogy right there, though, I'm going through some personal things in my life to where I do feel like there's a lot of twists, a lot of turns, it's ups, it's downs. But like you have a choice every single day, and it's very hard to do in the moment. But just like in that roller coaster, you really got to have faith, throw the hands up, smile while you're doing it. And then by the end, you're like, wait, that was a really fun ride.
Sometimes.
And not that this is going to be a fun ride for you. Not all the time, right? But at least you're safe. You're healthy. So my life is not that bad. Dramatic pause.
That was a big pause.
Right?
I thought you froze for a second.
But just something to be conscious of as you move forward.
Well said.
All right. So listen, CV is coming with his update next week. We're all putting him on the spot right here, because this is what we do. We live this life.
Does the roller coaster theme park have some good food? Because I'm into that.
Right?
Can I have a cheeseburger in one hand as I'm going down?
Yes, absolutely. So yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this little epi, and you
Like, subscriribe if you
Yes.
haven't already. What the F are you doing?
Right. Go buy
NoSnoozeshop.com.
some merch. You know
Fund
what
our
time it is.
future.
That's right.
College
And
is
keep
expensive.
that swagger, baby. That's what this is about. Finding
they-
and keeping the swagger.
Do they use swagger anymore, these kids?
I don't
I think
know.
it's sauce, right?
No,
Isn't
it's
that the term?
no, not sauce. It's
Drip?
Drip.
Drip's too much.
The
I
drippy.
can't talk about drip. I like edge. Then it's like
Michael from Greenwich can't talk about the
I
drip.
can't be talking drip.
Drippy Reg is a good one. That's kind of it. Kind of goes with
Dredge. It's already in the name.
This is
if
this
it's
is
in the
where we
name, it's
go.
in the name.
Beautiful. All right, guys. So listen. Until next time, stop snoozing.
Get up and get after it.
Thank you, Jesus.
Sharpen up. Softness. Get rid of your pillows. I haven't slept with a pillow in 10 years.
That's another Epi in the books. Go follow us on Instagram and Facebook at No Snooze Podcast. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, No Snooze.